Welcome to the 15th part of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle HD. So, Pedro requested that I do some musical tunes, so in addition to that, I will be showcasing off some music. And I will let you know, I edited this down heavily, because originally I wanted to focus on the ones Pedro requested, some picks of my own, as well as tracks that you don't normally get to hear, as well as, some other tunes that include lyrics or, just were, cool songs to listen to. Then that...
A constant bane of my existence is that a lot of these Sonic games, not every one of the vocal tracks is properly fully heard in-game, It's one particular crime, in my opinion, is the fact that we only get to hear like 30 seconds of Infinite's theme in Forces, even though it's the best track in the game.
Technically, we do hear motifs of that in some of his themes, but yeah, I do get
the vocal version. Obviously, we get the instrumental versions for the boss battles, but I'm talking about the vocal version.
But yeah, anyway, previous versions of these were like, of course, over an hour long, like an hour and a half or whatnot, so I whittled it down, made a lot of compromises. I was planning to at least maybe try and leave in all songs that had vocals, including Escape from the City and all of Knuckles' raps, but, well, two reasons I axed those. One, it was still over an hour long, and two, yeah, one unfortunate thing I was reminded about with this sound test is that some of the songs are sadly abridged for some reason, including some of the raps, which sadly cuts out the significant part of Death Chamber, which literally has Sonic saying "you're damn right" to Knuckles. Yes, again, for those who don't know, Shadow was technically not the first game where Sonic said damn. Granted, that was for the words of Unit P in his lyrics, but still, nonetheless, technically Sonic characters wielding guns and Sonic saying damn was first a thing here. But yeah, that's a thing I've noticed with some of the tracks there, and it's unfortunately most notable with most of the vocal tunes that you can try and listen to. Like, I'm not sure why they did that, since, I'm pretty sure you still do hear the part where Sonic says damn in-game anyway, and when it comes to the character tunes, my best guess is they did that so that people would be enticed to go buy the soundtrack back in the day.
Probably, yeah.
I remember the days when
because remember, the best Eggman theme is still this one, the one from this game.
And thankfully,
but again, like with Forces and Infinite, we only get to hear a bit of it in some of the cutscenes. We never there's never any point where there's like at the very least like a full minute version of it at least. It's a shame because it's a fantastic track.
It really is. And thankfully Sonic Team these days seems to recognize that that's his best theme since, again, ever since Generations, they more or less brought it back as his main motif, even having it be like his power-up theme in Team Sonic Racing. Anyway.
This is why in my Sonic 06 run, I went out of my way to show off a lot of the vocal tracks that you don't hear properly. Go on.
Anyway, now we're listening to the menu theme for the battle, essentially, which is, of course, my favorite of the menu themes, so, of course, that's probably the one you're going to hear the least, especially if you're on PC and don't have a second player to play with.
Yeah.
You could always try and play against yourself.
No.
That is true, but...
Trust me, Liz, I've tried. It's not that fun. Jingle.
Of course. Clear.
Classic.
Always to be brought back. You may notice that this is taken from the motif of Toot Toot Sonic Warrior from Sonic CD.
June is a big fan of that particular track, as remember, like in Sonic 4 Episode 2, you also used that.
Oh, and yes, that is that song's name.
And yes, there are those who remember from Adventure, Speed Up returns as well.
Fun fact, in the original game's soundtrack, the Sonic Adventure 1, I mean, the track is called AU, It's Time to Speed Up. In Sonic Adventure 2's soundtrack, it's called AU, It's Time to Speed Up. Again. So...
Oh, you're gonna drown.
And yes, there is actually a continue theme. I actually did not know this because I've never gotten a game over in this game before.
The original Super Gaming Brothers review, Matt said it best. The saving system of Sonic 3 basically rendered continues useless, and the same thing applies to this game, obviously.
Pretty much. Still, what an ominous sounding continue theme.
I don't know, it kind of sounds like the underwater theme from Donkey Kong Country.
Cute.
And yeah, these are the various cutscene music stuff that we have.
Again, originally I did show those off, but I edited that out to cut this down on time. One thing we will be listening to, of course, are some of the Chow themes, because as I didn't go for every single thing Chow related, there are some missing themes.
This track sounds... I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this track sounds like the end credits music that you get in Crash Graph and Cortex a little bit. I mean, they both came out the same year. Aside from the vocals.
Huh, yeah, Crash Raffle Cortex did come out in 2001. God.
Yep.
It really is hard to imagine that there was a brief amount of time where the Dreamcast and the PS2 were both a thing at the same time.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
for
the
about
entire
like
reason.
6-7 months.
Yeah, that's the entire reason why the Dreamcast, ended up fading. It was because of a PS2 existing for a while.
I'll admit, as a kid, whenever I saw a Dreamcast disc, I used to think that those were just fancy PlayStation discs. Oh, by the way...
I forgot.
Go on.
I forgot if I mentioned, but some Jet Set Radio inspiration by incorporating, stock phrases from old movies into the lyrics for some reason.
Fun fact, did you know that the same samples from Up and Down and All Around were actually used in the same samples for Turn It Up, Get Down from Metal Sonic's Japanese boss fight? Fun fact, actually, also, the Chow Lobby theme used in battle is not the same one used in the original Dreamcast version. That is originally the one used. And yes, this is the theme used for breeding, for the mating dance.
What?
You are now imagining the Chow doing it.
No!
Jova, why?
It literally
Tail,
says
when a
it's the
Chow-
mating dance, guys, and it's breeding. Come on now.
Well, Tail, when a Chow and another Chow love each other very much.
Jova and Pedro are not helping.
Now listen, it's a dance, so it's like they had to keep the rating
It's
down,
na-
so they just dance and then suddenly there's a baby.
It's nature, Whips. Animals mate. Get over it.
It's how you were born.
But I'd rather have that out of my head, thank you very much.
Would the voice of Sir David Attenborough help with?
No.
Why not? He could totally narrate a Chow.
It's like breeding in Cult
No,
of
I
Glam,
don't want
actually.
to. Anyway, we've got the
Yes.
beginner race music.
This
Yeah,
race
so Dubs
music
can
wa-
run away from this conversation.
Most of the race music was done by Fumiko Matani.
Of course, it's a combination of cute and funky.
Basically, yeah.
And this is, of course, the entrance theme.
This one reminds me of something else, but I can't put my finger on it.
The jewel race, aka the more advanced races after you finish all the beginner ones.
Interesting how they call the more advanced difficulty Jewel.
I guess to be in sync with the Chaos Emeralds, I don't know.
Pedro, did you say earlier the Chow Garden music was all done by mainly one person?
No, it's a bunch of... Well, here, let me get it again then. Might as well. A lot of the Shao music was done by Fumiko Matani, yes, but not just her. It was also other people. Let me get the list.
Oh, Sergeant Blocks is playing Planet Side 2.
Yes.
Oh, here it is. Let's see.
Also, in regards to some of the Chow Race music, it's done by a composer who you may also recognize, a Mr. Tomoya Otani.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, actually, the first track he ever worked on for the Sonic series was a Ghost Pumpkin Soup.
Mm-hmm. Basically, yeah. Basically, it was the Shao Karate entrance was done by Fumiko Matani. The Dark Garden was done by Kenichi Tokoi. The Neutral Garden was done by Tomoya Otani. The Hero Garden was done by Fumiko Matani. The Shao Kindergarten was done by Fumiko Matani. And the Shao Racing and Shao Karate entrance were also done by Fumiko Matani. So yeah, Fumiko Matani was the primary Shao composer, but there were others, yes.
Alright, now let's do the challenge race background music.
Let me get the ones for the races specifically.
Wow, this N64 music sounds great.
Yes, it kind of sounds like Grand Kirchhoff took over.
Yeah, here it is. The Jewel race and beginner race were done by Kenichi Tokoi, the sound director for Sonic Colors. The Shao Transport was done by Tomoya Otani, yeah. The Dark Birds.
I cannot stress
Hero
enough
Race.
how much I love the variety of music. Like, we go from stuff like grunge rock to high energetic rock to then this silly stuff with banjos, a goofy scream, yodeling, and everything.
The best Sonic soundtracks to me are the ones that have a variety in genres because it allows to have that's why I prefer Adventure 1 soundtrack to Adventure 2 soundtrack because I feel like there's a bit more variety on that. Whereas when you take a look at the level tracks in this game, most of them are rock in comparison to the more balanced genres you have throughout all levels in Adventure 1.
I actually find the opposite. Since each character gets their own motif, I actually feel that there's even more variety here, whereas with Adventure was more so based off of the level. Here it's based off of specifically the character themes.
I get that too. Sorry. Jova, sorry. But here, look at Sonic's levels in Adventure 2, for example. All of them are rock tracks, right? And when you took a look at Sonic's levels in Sonic Adventure 1, though, not all of them are rock tracks. That's
Oh, true. Well, that's why I said, like, in Adventure, it's based more off strictly the level as opposed to which character you're playing as, whereas for Adventure 2, the variety comes from which character you're playing as, since, you know, each of their levels goes more with their music motif. Like, Sonic gets the high energetic rock, Tails gets the upbeat light rock, Shadow gets the heavy industry and digital sounding tracks essentially, Rouge gets the smooth jazz, Knuckles gets the hard raps, and Eggman gets more the grunge essentially. And then we get to stuff like the happy-go-lucky stuff with the Chow or whatnot, with the fiddles and the weird sound effects here and there. Like, I really do feel like Adventure 2's is the pinnacle of variety, and I can definitely see why June has it as his favorite one.
Personally, I prefer the Sonic Adventure 1 method about how they went about it.
Speaking of June, it's been recently confirmed that, yes, he is apparently the main composer for Sonic X Shadows' generation, specifically Shadows campaign.
Well, he was the sound director and main composer for the original Sonic generation, and he was the sound director and main composer of Shadow the Hedgehog, so, I mean, he's the best candidate.
I wonder if this
Sure,
means...
why not?
I wonder if this means we'll get a new Crush 40 song out of that campaign.
Don't play with my heart, Jova. Please don't.
Well, I mean,
do
there's
that.
been, so June was the sound director for Generations, and there was no new Crush 40 song there.
Actually, Dwebs, there was a new remix of Open Your Heart.
Well, remix, not new song.
It is true, Dwebs, but a lot of us Sonic fans have a sneaky suspicion that Sonic Youth was originally going to be used in Generations.
Definitely felt like it.
How many Shadow the Hedgehog game levels are going to be in?
We don't know yet.
We don't know.
We don't know yet.
What we do know so far is that it looks like at least some levels are going to be amalgamations of levels from games that Shadow's been in, essentially.
Well, in any case, I hope I hope even if he uses the original Shadow the Hedgehog music as a baseline and just remixes those, I hope the music turns out better than it did in that game.
Okay, I've seen some of Choctopus's raw gameplay footage. I'm wondering if that Shadow music was just a placeholder, since in Choctopus's gameplay footage, there is legit, like, a full remix instead of just reusing the music from Shadow, so... I don't understand why, but it did do that.
Okay, I forgot to ask. Did the original generations, allow to switch between the original levels, the sounds, and the new ones made?
Yes. You could even choose
Maybe
whichever.
then.
You could even choose whichever music you wanted to play for any level.
In general, yeah. Like for example, there's a side mission involving a race against Knuckles that has a Cash remix of Supersonic Racing, which again, I'm sure the guys at Cash are nice guys and everything, but their vocals cannot fucking. They don't even stand a fucking chance against TJ Davis.
It's kind of like when.
So what I do is I just put in the original Supersonic Racing instead in the menu.
It's kind of like when one of the early Smash Bros. Games tried to have a remix of the DK rap, but it was just awful.
Anyway, I gotta talk about this. I love how the Dark Race actually has the more uplifting and happier sound. And no, that's not like a typo or anything. Like, I've actually played both races. That is Dark Race's theme. Oh yeah, I should explain. Basically, there are reasons to raise both Hero or Dark Chow, essentially. When it comes to Hero Race, you can only use Hero or Neutral Chow. When it comes to Dark Race, you can only use Dark or Neutral Chow, essentially. So of course, the ultimate medal goes for the Chaos Chow, since those are chaotic neutrals.
If we do get a vocal track in Shadow Generations, it's probably going to be a new version of All Hail Shadow.
Oh, I would love that. And you know what? I'll say this. I know that there's an original, but to me, Crush 40 did the best version of that tune. And again, I think Sonic Team recognized that because whenever they bring back All Hail Shadow, it's the Crush 40 instrumentals. Yeah.
It's because the sad part is that I prefer the original song that Magnify was originally going to have in the game. Because, like I've said before, originally, June wanted to license out a music that they already had made called This Is Who I Am. Now, by the title alone, you already know exactly why June wanted this song in the game, right? And trust me, when you hear the lyrics of This Is Who I Am by Magnify, that song feels like it was made for that game. It doesn't even feel out of place at all. Like, if you had told me that this song was made for Shadow the Hedgehog, I would have believed you in a heartbeat.
As sad as it is, we didn't get that.
Unfortunately, they couldn't get the rights for it, and that's why Magnify had to make an original song for it, which was All Hail Shadow, like I said.
Which is an absolute boss theme, and what I consider to be Shadow's current theme, essentially, or at the very least the current theme showcasing how his current state of mind, essentially. Like, I like to look at Shadow's different themes across the course of his history as, again, reflections into his mindset. Throw It All Away was obviously Shadow at his worst, since, you know, he was brainwashed into being pretty much evil and out to kill everyone just for the sake of producing what he thought was a promise he made to his friend, which turned out to be the exact opposite of what she asked for. What the hell, Gerald? I Am All of Me is definitely Shadow at his crossroads, essentially. You know, like, figure out this is who he is, and All Hail Shadow is Shadow at his most heroic. Which is fitting, seeing as how that was the theme used for the pure hero route, so it makes sense that All Hail Shadow is essentially his motif these days. Also him reveling in how cool he is, because that is totally a Shadow thing. Alright, cutting over to the level stuff here. Originally, I showed off quite a few of the level themes, but for now, I'm just showing off Canon's Core 4 for now, because yes, that is actually a level theme. See, one reason I'm a bit sad we didn't get to do Adventure 1 before Adventure 2 is for me to point out that Canon's Core feels like pretty much a wide reference to the Lost World level of Sonic Adventure, right down to even the waterway and the snake cave heads. In fact, this track in particular, sounds like a reference to that segment of Lost World. Alright, now let's show us some of the multiplayer themes.
This is a variation of Escape from the City.
Yep. This is specifically the one for the snowboarding race, essentially. Actually, might be an entire Escape from the City race. Okay, basically, like I mentioned, some of the characters get different variations for their multiplayer battles. Like, for Sonic, like for the speed characters, you get, like, obviously the foot races, but there's also stuff like the grind rail races and snowboarding, essentially.
This feels like Escape from the City at home.
Or like the beta. Now here's a completely original tune made for multiplayer, the grind racing. These are races that circle around grinding, and don't worry, even if you're bad at grinding, there were exploits. Oh, I remember playing this game with a friend, essentially. I fell off the grind rail, he thinks he's beating me, and then I managed to land on the grind rail way well below and beat him. But yeah, I think this is the only one of the multiplayer tracks that is completely original.
So they're specific, like with the Heroes minigame multiplayer stuff.
I actually played a lot of Sonic Adventure 2's multiplayer back in the day.
Oh yeah, like, you know, that was one of the main selling points of the Battle re-release too.
I played a lot of Heroes and Shadows.
Nice.
The Shadow multiplayer is...
It's not really anything.
I
Like,
don't recall it being particularly bad.
It's not that necessarily that it's terrible, but like it's such a fucking
Bare
drop off in
bones.
quality compared
it just
to what we have in
exists.
Although it does have
How-
a...
Heroes multiplayer is better than that.
Oh,
the-
definitely,
multiplayer is
yeah.
okay, and Shadows is not particularly very good. Like it's just that, you know, like Sonic Adventure 2 is where Sonic multiplayer peaked, basically.
I will give the multiplayer in Shadow this, though. It has a flipping awesome remix of Vengeance is Mine.
And 06 is multiplayer.
Oh,
The less to be said
Did it even have that? I genuinely don't
It
We
remember.
did, I think we did.
It did.
Did we showcase it or not?
No,
I
we did.
forgot.
No, we did not.
we definitely
doesn't
talked
matter
about
anyway.
it, though. Sure, right. The
an
dealio
attempt-
was this.
Sorry.
When it came to racing, you either played as Sonic or Shadow, or if you were really risking it with playing a Silver, you essentially kept you kept your opponent locked in place if you knew the trick. But that is... oh, no.
Multiplayer was just as broken as the main game, so yeah.
Yeah, like...
Like Amy in these games.
Oh, you know, honestly, okay, yeah, you know, now's a good question. So what did you mean by Amy being broken in Adventure 2, essentially?
Time freezing.
Yep. Well,
Didn't all the
technically all of them
characters
have
do
time
that?
freezing. Shiro in the multiplayer, technically all of them
Oh,
have that.
wait. Or
I
was-
think Amy has the lowest ring requirement.
Yeah,
to
she-
use
Ah,
it.
right. I think that was to make up for the fact that she's the slowest of the speed characters.
Basically, yeah.
Anyway, we're listening to character themes, and why not listen to BioLizards while we're at it?
Let me take a wild guess, Shiro. When you played this multiplayer back in the day, you played with someone who always picked Amy and did that all the time. Is that what this is?
Oh,
coming
no.
from?
I didn't really play the multiplayer for the adventure games. I mostly played the main story stuff. And the Chow Garden.
So why the trauma with Amy, then?
Oh no, I enjoy watching other people's trauma with Amy.
Ah.
Lovely.
So, yeah,
What are
BioLizards
they,
seems...
what are they thinking? Slime?
No, everything just fly.
I can barely hear it.
Well, that's kind of the case with a lot of Everett Bradley's lyrics, essentially. digital mixing.
Like
on
I
that.
said, the lyrics are very poignant for that. They literally talk about how Shadow feels and for Shadow, to an extent, at the end of the game, while also incorporating the stuff that FP's regret of losing Maria.
I think it also ties a bit into BioLizard's perspective, which is a good time for me to bring up. No, I have never subscribed to the idea that BioLizard is just a mindless monster of the week, essentially, since, let's consider this. We know Gerald had a plan, but we are never told that he was actually controlling the BioLizard past the point of his death, essentially. As far as we know, all BioLizard was doing was of BioLizard's own will. Its very own destructive will. Like, keep in mind, it intentionally used Chaos Control and the Chaos Emeralds just to try and keep that arc on its collision course to Earth, even after its job was arguably done. Like, if adding a creature that has spite, I don't know what is.
There's also the fact that, similar to the final boss of Final Fantasy IX, the foreshadowing, while present in the game, it doesn't seem to be, enough to justify, the appearance out of nowhere.
I personally am fine with the foreshadowing we got for BioLizard. Like, the prototype even does get mentioned by name by Gerald as whatnot here and there. And, like, I can coordinate that as, like, sort of a big shock that they play up as. Also as something to show that, while Gerald always meant well, he didn't always get the best. And yes, now let's get to Pedro's part of the request, essentially. Now, you may be a bit confused by the visuals, but here's where I break the bad news to you. Aside from Sonic and BioLizard's themes, essentially, none of the character themes are in their complete state in the sound test. They are abridged versions at best, essentially.
You want to hear those? Buy the soundtrack, pleb.
Also, that pose, Rouge has just knocked my teeth in.
So yes, I'll be using Sonic Channel visual arts for the character themes we'll be
What do you mean
showing.
my jewels have been stolen?
Which jewels are you referring to, Rouge?
With a high kick like that, yeah.
God, she's about to rob someone of those family jewels with that kick. Of course, as Knuckles said in one of his own raps, he's gonna get her with his tools. So yes, this is Rouge's full theme, Flying to Freedom.
This sounds like Persona 5 15 years early.
I will say this, growing up as realizing that Rouge's music was very underrated in Sonic Adventure 2. I'll admit, as a kid...
That's also because this style had not premiered that much yet, Jova. Libs made a comparison, let's just say that, with the modern Persona games. That's because the composer for Atlus deliberately mentioned that got inspired by the music of Jamiroquai, which is also similar to this. But by the time this game was released, while famous enough, probably was not as mainstream as it is now. So maybe it's because of that.
And hey, Sonic Team...
I don't think Jamiroquai were that popular outside Britain.
Speaking of Persona, who also heard the awesome Lin remix of Escape from the City? Because, yeah, they got the Persona 5 singer to do a take on Escape from the City, Shiroi. And yes, it is as cool as you would imagine. And yes, as much as you may not be able to believe it, all of the art I will be showing is official art, essentially, from Sonic Channel themselves. So, Shiroi, what's your take on Rouge's theme? I recall you mentioning that you really were a big fan of it from the get-go. That's actually traditional wear-dwibs.
It's like an apron from how it was.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite vocal songs.
Nowadays, I think it's getting more appreciation, especially since they brought back her Security Hall theme of all things for Team Sonic Racing. But yes, Rouge's theme, of course, is ironically not the most thirsty theme in the Sonic universe. That honor still belongs to Amy with My Sweet Passion. Which, yeah. I was thinking about including Amy's theme, but since her full theme shows up in the credits of Sonic Adventure, I figured I'll probably just save it for there. So no, we
Also,
will
it's
not.
kind of fitting considering outside from multiplayer presence, gameplay-wise, is all practically non-existent.
Like, Amy feels like just the extra Team Hero member, but obviously not main story playable because,
It almost screams to me like she was supposed to be playable at some point, but no. We know for a fact that, a lot of our characters were, hastily put in there because of, they were not meant to be playable. So probably Amy was the last wheel on the cart wagon, as we say in my country.
My take is that they wanted to keep it mainly free versus free, essentially, obviously.
Oh no, yeah, I
Everyone
get
would have
that.
their counterpart.
A lot of the cutscenes, Amy just feels awkwardly put in there as well. And again, I'll mention, but I can mention this more in my final thoughts anyway.
So no, we sadly will not be dissecting such lyrics as "The Sphinx was so cute, I have to shave it," "He reminds me of parsley when he's standing there," or "I'll paint myself blue just for you."
Okay.
Those are all lyrics from Amy's theme to you. I am not kidding.
When it comes to Amy, sounds like while I don't mind My Sweet Passion personally, okay, and yeah, I get that it's technically the Team Rose theme, but the lyrics just fit Amy so perfectly. I prefer Follow Me from Sonic Heroes when it comes, to me, that's my personal Amy, because I feel like that one is an overall more cheerful and really happy and catchy song, and I just love the vocalist's voice in that one. So
now,
Kay Hanley, if I remember correctly.
So now here's Knuckles' theme, and I gotta say also, again, one way you can tell that they wanted to go out with a swan song was just the absolute army of musicians, song artists, and composers that they brought in for this thing. So it's not just all their composers, but all the different song artists that they brought in for this, essentially. This is essentially a collab between Marlon Saunders, who's, obviously those are his lyrics from the original version of the tune, thrown in with a rap from Unit P, essentially.
Is Knuckles smuggling chow?
No, he's watching
Also,
over them, if anything.
I have to admit, maybe it's because of the memes, but I do prefer the Sonic Adventure 1 theme, to be honest, of Knuckles.
I also prefer the Dread Fox version as well, because I again, not only because that's the one that originated the meme, obviously, but I just love Dread Fox's rapping.
Sure. Some of the lyrics feels not maybe as impactful as we are because Tougher Than Leather is not particularly much of an accomplishment if you ask me, but it's the thought that counts.
Whereas with
It's
this
like
version,
That Chow looked terrified, by the way.
If you question, sure, have you seen the Sonic Frontiers prologue short? Because
yes.
Because that basically tells us that apparently Knuckles is a babysitter to a lot of Chow, apparently.
it makes
I get
sense.
it. I mean,
on
makes
its
sense.
own.
The thought process, maybe is that after the events of Adventure 1, a lot of the Chows migrated inherently there since it was their actual resting place.
Which would not surprise me, honestly. And hey, Sonic Mania seems to suggest that Knuckles secretly loves to babysit for a lot of cute critters, so of course Chow would be on that list.
He's living his Disney princess life.
Yes, he is. I'll admit, I'm that weirdo who actually does like the Adventure 2 versions of all original themes from Adventure 1 better. Not to say I don't like the Adventure 1 themes, let me make that clear, but I guess I kind of prefer the more energetic takes, which, well, obviously, since they're remixes, they go for that. And I really do dig Unit P's raps, essentially, here. And I do like that they brought the best parts from the original Adventure 1 for that.
Unknown From Me was composed by Kenichi Sakoi with lyrics by Takahiro Fukada.
Also, I love how
which explains why the lyrics are so cheesy, because again, Japanese people trying to make English lyrics, it always works like that.
Although again,
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Although to give Unit P credit, he apparently came up with the lyrics for all of Knuckles' raps on his own, apparently. Which does surprise me, because to give Tomo Otani credit, he apparently came up with all the melodies and lyrics for the Titan boss fights in Frontiers, which are, so awesome.
I mean...
Sonic, I kept telling you my head is not a seat.
I don't know, it feels just as springy as a spring.
And why do you sit on people's heads anyway? That's weird.
I don't know. Ask the guy who named the Sonic channel art Sonic X Knuckles for some reason.
Why is the Sonic media shipping Sonic with everyone these days?
Well, you see, that's the way to make it universal to you. Everyone is simping after Sonic.
The Omni-ship, of course.
Which is funny, given how when you think about it, End of Time in Sonic 06 is pretty much everyone saying, Sonic, I'm coming!
And then it's the human who gets him.
Amazing. Truly amazing.
I give Amy permission to kill at that point. Like, Jesus Christ.
She'll be like Aerith in the FF7 remake here. Permission to kill Rising.
Nice.
But yeah, no, I do love this version of Knuckles theme because it's got rock and jazz mixed in. Wonderful for a mix. Also, yes, no one stops Knuckles' feet. Whatever that means.
Okay. Musically, I think the song is alright, but it's the singing.
Tails and Tails, Beaver.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
the singing in this one kind of lets the side down, in my opinion.
one's done by
Adventure
Kaz
1
Silver.
version of this one, definitely.
Once again, I prefer the Adventure 2 version, and luckily for me, it seems that Sega agree, because whenever they bring back Believe in Myself, it is the Adventure 2 theme, Lost World and Team Sonic Racing. Although,
I wouldn't mind this one being remixed, just get a better singer.
I guess, to be fair, Black Knight did bring back the Adventure 1 rendition, which did arguably fit better.
The violin remix in Black Knight is so good.
And now it's Sonic X Tales.
That's not what's happening here, but anyway.
So I'm looking at the booklet right now. There's the version 1 is an Adventure 1 version, was the vocals were done by Karen Brake. Whereas this version was the vocals by Kaz Silver.
And yeah, like, I will definitely agree with Dwibs that part of the main reason I do enjoy this version better is the instrumentation, which is just great. Again, I like the originals too, but I like the more energetic take that this one goes, which, to be fair, it feels like Adventure 2 in general goes for, like, a more high-energy version when it comes to the remixes of past teams, essentially. Like, Sonic's is more quicker, Knuckles' gets more put on top of it, and Tails' feels, more, what's the word?
It's like pop rock almost, this is.
Yes, that's it. Which, yeah, again,
I'm in a similar camp. Oh, sorry, go on.
Which, yeah, I guess is that's probably the best way to describe Tails' main level motifs, pop rock. Go on, Shiroi, what were you saying?
I'm in a similar camp to Dwibs, but for me, it's not the singing that's the issue, because I like I really like this version of the instrumental more. I think the singing is fine, but I feel like the lyrics don't flow with this instrumental as well. It feels like they're just trying to squeeze certain parts into this version of the instrumental, which is where it's kind of throws me off a little bit. But I don't think it's bad.
For me, it's one of those things where, okay, first of all, I wanted to say this. The Adventure 1 version was, according to this, mixed by Ben Katayama, whoever that is, but I love this one. This version was mixed by The Riddle. That's it. The credit just says here.
Edward Nigma?
The Riddler did it? Oh my god!
Well, to be fair, it doesn't say Riddler, it says Riddle.
No.
A riddle.
No.
Okay, let me check. Do we have a Silver Age villain that is called the Riddle? Let me see.
You see, it all makes sense, guys. This is the real reason why that casino from the Arkham series looks exactly like the casino from Casinopolis, essentially. It was all part of Edward Nigma's plan.
And remember, I'm reading from the book that comes with the Passion and Pride album, which is the album that compiles all of the vocals on the Adventure era. Like, this is official. This is an official booklet. This is official information by Sega.
Also, hey, Big.
Bye, Big.
But for me, when it comes to Adventure 2 of this version. Let me put it this way. I feel like Karen Brake does a better job conveying Tails' emotions in his story of Adventure 1. Whereas I feel like Cass Silver, I just don't get the same heart from his vocals.
I do get heart from Cass Silver, but I'll understand anybody who doesn't get heart from it. Anyway.
Oh, and he is the best
now for a banger.
There we are. Let's move on now.
EGGMAN.
You know it's good because it actually the actual song title seems to be the one of a level of doom.
Yeah. The Adventure 1 Eggman theme was really cool. This one is definitive. Otani's Eggman theme is okay, but a huge step down from this one.
Wait, Otani.
Is that the one from 06?
The one that premiered in 06. You know the one that also isn't Unleashed and in Colors.
Which was his main motif used before. It's a good one. I get why people loved it, but I'm personally happy that we're back to using this tune as Eggman's main motif.
This song, get it, was composed and arranged by Jun Tsunui himself. The lyrics were done by the singer, Paul Shortino.
I surprisingly have not found much other stuff that Paul Shortino has done.
I recommend checking out Jun Tsunui's The Works albums, where he does a lot of songs with Paul Shortino.
Speaking of innuendos we were talking about before, yes, Eggman does indeed insist on conquering the world with his tools.
Yeah, I love the lyrics in this song. That's so perfect. I particularly love the one where he says, hold on, let me get it.
I'd love to destroy the blue one, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to destroy the blue one, you know. He's an obstacle that always gets in my way. Again, it's just like, I love how Paul Shortino went out of his way to actually properly write lyrics, thinking of the character. Instead of just
let me say, Eggman becoming a fully playable character in his own right was one of the best things to happen to him in this game, since it let him get his own theme.
And he had his own theme in Adventure.
You know what's funny about Passion and Pride is supposedly a vocal track album, and yet they still have Gamma's theme from Adventure 1 in here because they know just how fantastic Fumiko Matani did a job with Gamma's theme.
And now, it's Supersonic X Dr. Eggman. Oh my.
Sure.
I mean, they have paired up to fight Gemrol, so...
Jova, the enemies to lovers tag is not present in this. I'm sorry.
Listen, Jova, two characters... Huh.
Oh, God.
Yes, and yes. This is official artwork, essentially. The story
Hopefully
behind...
with less auto-tune.
Yes, the story behind this is that Eggman has actually found a way to achieve a super form using the Phantom Ruby, which you can see fastened to his suit there. Possible hinting at what could happen in the future? Question mark.
I get the idea, Jova, after the events of Mania and Forces, we're trying to pretend the Phantom Ruby never existed.
Oh, no. Phantom Ruby is still canon, essentially. Like
It is still, Frontiers makes direct references to Forces.
Alright, get it. Just when I get it, it's not gonna be used that much.
The potential is there. They pretty much emphasize that the Phantom Ruby is still out there. And, just because I figured, why not play the one tune that actually is fully intact, essentially? Sonic's. Because, yeah, like I mentioned, pretty much every other character theme is abridged in a sense. In Shadows' case, don't worry. Even though we technically haven't heard the full version of his song, you've essentially heard the version that shows you all the lyrics in the credits, essentially. Because Shadow's theme is legit the longest. It's just that you haven't heard the version that combines all the instrumental section with all the lyrics. But you essentially have heard the theme in full, essentially, across the course of the whole game.
Because we gotta give Sonic preferential treatment because he's the main character.
You're steady my screen time.
Yeah, like Jova said, Throw It All Away on Passion and Pride is a total of 5 minutes and 4 seconds, which is quite long for a Sonic vocal track.
Yep,
Usually they're like around 3 minutes and a half or so.
Again, a lot of it is some solo, essentially, but holy cow, it is in there. But yeah.
Although unknown from me, version 2 is also quite long, 4 minutes and 52 seconds.
it makes sense with all the mixes they put in. Although Rouge's is a pretty lengthy one too. That one is like a...
Yeah, all 4 minutes and 58 seconds.
I'm not even gonna bat an eye at this because, like, as somebody who has listened to J-pop for a long time, I'm used to like 5 to 6 minute songs. This is nothing.
Oh, sure. I'm not saying that as a negative. Like, I don't care how long a song is as long as it's good.
Again, I was considering including Shadow's full theme, but again, I figured you guys want this to be kept relatively contained on time, essentially.
Yeah.
Hence why I did not show off a lot, essentially. But yeah, of course, I might as well say, love this version of Sonic's theme. And yes, this version did get a remix that combines elements from this version and the Adventure 1 version on the Passion and Pride track. Shame that was the only thing they remixed for it, since everything else on there is pretty much just, well, music that's repackaged there. But yeah, again, love this tune. It gets Sonic's characteristics down to a T, which, yes, Frontiers even paid mine to. Given that was written. Okay, so maybe we should listen to Live and Learn.
Well, I think we already did in the credits of the last song.
Yeah, do a cock tease of it, like what happened to Generations.
Okay, I'll give him credit. That was one, but yeah, no, we've already heard Live and Learn. So
Yeah, it's interesting they go from a really popular track to one that's not so popular. But, yeah.
Admittedly, people did like it for that one, but that was only because of the goodwill. But yeah, no. So yeah, that brings our look at the music and a bit more talks of the characters down to a bit, which means that there is but one part left, essentially. So tune in, ladies and gentlemen, for the finale to come.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.